Moving on now, speaking at the Nuclear Security Summit in Washington, D.C., Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a strong pitch for global cooperation to counter terror. Modi spoke at length about the threat of nuclear terrorism. He said that terror has evolved and terrorists are now using 21st century technology, but the state's response is rooted in the past. In an apparent jibe at Pakistan, Modi said that the countries need to drop the notion that terrorism is someone else's problem. The Indian Prime Minister said that the world should focus on three contemporary features of terrorism. First, today's terrorists believe in a theater of violence. Second, we are no longer looking for a man in a cave, but we are hunting for a terrorist in a city with a computer or a smartphone. And third, state actors working with nuclear traffickers and terrorists pose the greatest risk. Let's now cut across live to Washington, D.C. We are joined in by India Today's Deputy Editor, Smita Sharma. Smita, rather strong intervention from the Prime Minister there.
Yes, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi not mincing his words during his intervention at that working dinner hosted by the US President Barack Obama, where all the more than 50 heads of states and representatives who are in Washington, D.C. currently to deliberate in the Nuclear Security Summit, they were participating. What is interesting is Narendra Modi was seated to the left of Obama, and in the 2 hours duration of that working dinner, the two could be actually seen conversing on various occasions. But Narendra Modi driving home the point without naming Pakistan really, that you cannot distinguish between terrorists. You cannot come up with this idea of his terrorist and mine terrorist, because no country today is isolated from terror threats. And also, most importantly, suggesting that, what you call non-state actors many a times actually have the blessings of the elected governments of the day or the political parties in place. So once again, the message really not lost. Whom was he talking about?
That's right. Now, China has once again stonewalled India's bid to get Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar listed as a terrorist by the United Nations Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee. Now, India today has learned that the US, UK, France voluntarily co-sponsor the resolution against Masood Azhar. In fact, out of the 15 members in the committee, only China objected to this move. China used its veto power to put the move on technical hold, but did not offer any rationale for their stand. Now, India in its resolution has said that the Jaish-e-Mohammed was proscribed by the committee 10 years back, and the same terror group was involved in the Pathankot attack in January. India argued that Masood Azhar is the head of the organization, and hence restrictions should be placed on the dreaded terrorist Masood Azhar. Back to Smita Sharma, who's standing by at this moment from Washington, D.C. Now, Smita, China again blocked India's bid at UN for a ban on the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar. What then was this JIT team coming here investigating was all about? Obviously, there seems to be absolutely no cooperation, and they seem to be getting more brazen about the fact that now China is also supporting them.
No official reaction yet really, but you don't remember Narendra Modi driving home that point that many a times actually non-state actors have the support of the elected governments or across governments in other nations. Now, this comes on a day when China for the second time, it's not really blocked yet, blocking would be the next step, but it has put on technical hold that Indian resolution in the Security Council to ask for proscription of the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar, because the organization has been proscribed in the past. So how can the chief not be proscribed? China in 2010 actually had provided reason while putting it on technical hold, citing insufficient evidence. But this time around, what we are being told is it provided no rationale, no explanation whatsoever. And what was perhaps, the only good thing was that US, UK, France, they by themselves chose to co-sponsor this resolution, perhaps understanding the seriousness of this entire issue, because India is looking at Masood Azhar in the context of the recent Pathankot terror probe. What is interesting and ironical is that Sartaj Aziz, Pakistan's advisor on foreign affairs to its prime minister, he was in US recently, and after his talks with John Kerry, the joint statement actually said that Masood Azhar has been put under protective custody. But perhaps China knows that these are only words that mean nothing, and that's why Beijing is not willing to change its ways.
Smita Sharma, many thanks for joining us and also getting us all the latest reporting from Washington, D.C.
Obviously, we can, focus on the positive things that we did there against Australia.
We've got a very different team to those games that we played. We went through quite a few players throughout those 3 games.